I had several surgeries on my right knee that resulted from complications with the ACL reconstruction. They took me in and I had a major infection going on my leg. Wow. Major. Got to a point that I thought I would die. And I was in the hospital for a week. I went through 2 surgeries and I had a PICC line going to my heart. 2017 for 3 months, brother.
Wow.
3 months. The result was that I was pulled out of competition for nearly 7 years until I came to CPI. I was planning to do 2 or 3 tournaments and I ended up competing the whole year, like back-to-back competitions. And for me, that's an absolutely miracle result.
CPI podcast back with a really old friend of mine, Escohega, Carlos Lemos, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. I don't know, you won so many championships. The whole podcast could just be listening him out, man. It's good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time. Like we've been friends for over 20 years.
Yeah,
like,
99.
Wow.
99
Incredible.
was the first time I went to Brazil.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
blue belt.
Here we are.
Yeah. It's, man, it's been a long time, but there's been a lot of good times, especially down in Brazil. But, man, first of all, let's talk about, like, I remember you hit me up. You said you had some issues with your knee. What else was going on? Was that all we treated the first time?
No. I was having some issues with my right knee, and because of that, it was compromising my left knee too. And then I had a chronic elbow injury for several years. For 2 years, I couldn't fully extend my right arm. And my left shoulder, I was suffering of an injury for over 8 months, which I couldn't lift my shoulder above shoulders high. And I decided to give CPI a try. I know we spoke about it before. And I said, you know what? That's where I'm going to go because I trust that guy.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I remember you told me you were in a lot of pain and you're having a lot of issues. And I think you said like they recommended surgery for you, or what was the situation?
Yeah, like with the left shoulder, they're saying you're probably going to fix that with the surgery. The right elbow, because it's such a small ligament, they didn't want to operate. But the right knee, I had like several surgeries on my right knee that resulted from complications with the initial ACL reconstruction. I had a rejection, so then I had to get that removed, and because of that, my knee was affected, like severely, and the result of these minor and major injuries was that I was pulled out of competition for nearly 7 years, not competing at all. And of course that affected my lifestyle. Yes, I could train moderately. I could, moderately in comparison to what you and I experienced in Brazil back in the day when we were talking about that yesterday. Yeah. But yes, I could train. I could sustain the lifestyle, could teach, but I was in not any near shape of being an athlete again. And I was really hanging my gloves until I came to CPI.
Yeah, and then last night we had dinner. You told me that you're back into competing. And when you said that, I thought, oh, maybe you jumped into 1 or 2 tournaments, but you listed off like 7, 8. How many tournaments have you went right back in?
Dude, yes. Scotty, I was planning to do 2 or 3 tournaments, and I ended up competing the whole year, at least once a month, one after another, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a month, like back-to-back competitions. I competed as much as my schedule allowed me and as much as I wanted. And for me, that's an absolutely miracle result. And it came after the first round. Like when I came down here for the first time, you even mentioned, hey, you're gonna need a second round to feel 100%. But after the first round, you feel much better. And with me, the results are so great that I ended up delaying my return to CPI because I wanted to put it to the test. I wanted to compete and see like, is this my mind? Is this like I'm feeling so much better? But is how my body gonna react if I go back to the level of training and stressing my body as I used to do 20 plus years ago? And the body responded really well. It was exactly as I was feeling. You know, it's hard for people to understand that if they never experienced. And sadly, a lot of the doctors is still thinking backwards. Because when I recommend to my students, they go and they talk to the original doctors, and the doctors don't believe that. But I'm the living proof that what you guys doing over here, it's staggering and it's phenomenal. I you just go on my social medias and you see how active I am and how much I train for somebody with 32 years of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome to hear. You know, this is kind of like Jiu-Jitsu week. We got 5 Jiu-Jitsu guys down there.
Oh.
And you know, this week back, we have 19 returning patients. And I haven't spoke to everyone yet. But, you know, out of all 19, you know, there's like one person that's down there that's, you know, not quite as doing as awesome as you are. We're going to work with them and see what we can do to improve that person's result. But, you know, 18 out of 19 people that are just like, I feel back to normal, no pain, I feel amazing, you know, it's pretty incredible, you know, it's awesome to see people doing that well.
Man, I'm so happy for you because you're accumulating a lot of good karma. And good karma has been following you. Like you're one of the main responsibles for me to be in the US. Right, you helped me so much back in the day, Scotty, you know, and our friendship, like, it goes beyond what you have done for me. But when it comes down to CPI, it's my credibility as a jiu-jitsu representative to say the truth. You know, it's not about our friendship. It's what this has done to me. And dude, it's amazing. Like I feel literally like I'm 20 years younger.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, you have so much credibility in the sport. You don't ever believe that you would lie about anything, and I wouldn't want you to. You know, if you came back down here and you weren't doing amazing, we would do everything we could to improve your situation, like any other patient. But I think nobody can go back and compete as much as you did after that much time off, do that well, and fake it.
Correct.
You can't fake it on the mat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. That's why we all fell in love with jiu-jitsu. There's no faking it. You're not out there breaking boards or anything like that. You're out there, you know, grappling, fighting, trying to hurt each other, basically, to win. So there's no, you know, I know they say keep it playful, but we don't come from the generation of keep it playful.
Exactly.
We come from the let's try to murder each other.
100%.
Generation of jiu-jitsu. So
and it's like, it's not like training, like sparring and in studying jiu-jitsu itself. It's like the hours and hours and hours of workouts and set sparring specific training and drilling and thousands of repetitions. I got back to being like to be in training for 4 hours a day, which is
4 hours of jiu-jitsu or just 4 hours of training?
4 hours of jiu-jitsu
just jiu-jitsu
plus maybe another hour of physical training, like 4 times a week, 6 days a week. You know, man, I'm no longer 18, and to be training like this, like for a long period of time, I know you have to be in optimum shape, because not all my students they can do this. A lot of the jiu-jitsu community, they're over 30 years old. That's when the majority of your students, the kids are over 30 years old. And a lot of my students, as much as they love the art, they can't train with that intensity, with that consistency. You know, 6 days a week. Like I got to a point And I hear that from all of my friends that once you're in your 40s, you will you can train hard for one day, but you'll need 2 days of recovery, and then you can go back to training hard again. It wasn't my case, Scotty. I was training hard 6 days a week. Of course, I have a training schedule where I would ramp up towards the weekend because we fight on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. So I was getting my body accustomed to that, where I would ramp up towards the end of the week, but still, man, like average 3 to 4 hours of training a day, plus my physical training.
Yeah. Well, wait till you get to be 50. Then you got to train hard one day and then come back in a month.
I mean, but look, my main reference in jiu-jitsu, right? It's inevitably Master Carlos. And he's on his 60s, mid-60s, and he still trained 4 to 5 days a week. But you remember Carlinhos back in the day, also respecting his body.
Yep.
He wasn't there grinding and pounding every single day. So I think as we age, we adapt our training to our reality. You know, we have the maturity to do that. We're black belts, and we earn our black belts the hard way. So we understand also that the body changes, the situation changes, but he's my main reference. And if he can do it that to this day, I think jiu-jitsu is an art that allows anybody to do it. Of course, adapting to your reality.
Yeah. I think you guys are much smarter than I was because, I was down in Brazil in my mid to late 30s, still trying to fight Masters Worlds, still trying to go out there, train every class, and beating myself up. All the way up until my 40s, until my back finally gave out. Broke my back, had to have back surgery, and then I lost it all. Couldn't train jiu-jitsu for 10 years.
Imagine that, man.
But I can now, But unfortunately, I just up training with Andy Stump and Dan Hart and Henry Akins, tore my rotator cuff.
CPI for you.
55. Yeah, hey, I got stem cells. I tore it on July 4th. Man, it hurt so bad. I flew my plane up there. I couldn't move my arm for anything. It was popping, and I was like, am I going to be able to fly back in 2 days? Like, I was like really like testing it, and flew back. That was fine. Lots of tailwinds, made it a faster trip. And the following Wednesday, so whatever that was, like 5 days later, I got the stem cells in it. And so we're like beginning of October right now, 2 months, like within a month, I had full range back. I still got like a little pop click, if I sleep on it. And that's how you know you're old. If you sleep wrong and it hurts, that's when you know you're old. But it's doing great already. I'm doing my physical therapy, started lifting weights a little bit again with it. And it feels good. I feel like in another month, I will be back to completely normal. Like my knee, when I tore my meniscus and my PCL, 50% of PCL, man, 3-4 months in, it was like it never happened.
Amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah.
We have to benefit from technological advances, right? You can't stop in time, whether that has to do with your the way you run your business, the way you do your training, or the way we live, right? It's like if you benefit from technology on every aspect of your life, but you neglect the only body that this life has given to you, man, you're not really living a very happy life. So I believe jiu-jitsu is an art that allows you to stay within the sport for a long period of time. But think if we're not to take advantage of technological advances, especially in the medical field, you're limiting yourself and your possibilities. What I think all you guys doing over here with CPI is to expand possibilities for athletes. and for people in general. Like, sometimes I come to a student of mine and I say, professor, I'm with pain here, pain there. I say, okay, give a CPI a try. And they come back to me, oh, it's too expensive. Or my doctors prescribing against because they're not so sure. And I say, dude, most of your doctors, that's exactly what they're gonna tell you because they're frozen in time. You know, like
they just don't know. It's not available.
They just don't know.
Unless they personally have an interest in learning about it. They're just going to work and doing it. They're good people. They want to heal people, but that's just their job. You know, they're just doing their job.
And it's like, it's still like a sort of like a, I feel.
But you see that in jiu-jitsu too. You get instructors that hit their peak and their game stopped there, right? All this new stuff comes out and everything, and either they don't want to learn it or they feel like they've learned enough.
They learn enough.
But that's it. You know, I'm stopping at this level of techniques and I'm not innovating, I'm not learning, I'm not progressing more. And that's just, you know, I think that's just, it is what it is.
The nature of
if I could stop time, I would have stopped around, I don't know, when did Lula come in the first time? 2003, 2002? I just froze it right there. Brazil, penthouse on the beach, dollar was worth 4 reais. Surf, train, party, girls, surf, train, party, girls. That was about it.
But, you know, Rio was a much safer place to live.
It's more dangerous down there now, huh? I mean, people always tell me, like, aren't you scared being in Tijuana? I'm like, pfft.
Being in Rio, baby.
Bro, I lived in Rio for 3 years. Like, this is not, I mean, it's not dangerous even a little bit down here, you know? But you put Rio on there, and then I'm like, and by the way, I worked in Pakistan, you know what I mean? Like, Pakistan made it, like, I was scared. The scariest day of my life was in Pakistan,
wow.
You know what I mean? Like, Rio just seemed like a picnic after Pakistan, you know?
I don't know. You should make a quick trip right now. It's getting really close to.
I almost went to the UFC down there, but we were too busy. We sponsored it, you know, and we were on the mat down there. But I mean, that's crazy to me because the first time I went down to Rio was '99. That's when we met, you know.
Oh boy!
And I'll never forget getting off of out at the airport there. Flew directly into Rio, and driving what is it?
Linha Vermelha. The red line
in between the two favelas.
Yeah.
And like just be like, I got all my stuff, you know, and I'm just like in a taxi cab and I'm like, where is this person taking me?
Don't make the wrong turn.
Where's this beautiful beach paradise Half told me about, you know? Didn't speak a word of Portuguese, all by myself, you know, and I'm just like, all right, you know, all I have was an address and Barra de Tijuca on a piece of paper. I handed to the taxi cab driver with $60, you know. Wow. I'm like, here we go. But, you know, I don't think, and you don't see anything like the favelas down there anywhere around here, you know.
Correct.
You know.
And like, you also got the golden years of Barra, man. Like, Barra, like, on the early 2000s, the 90s. We have such an incredible life over there.
It was
crazy. And
it was. I should have bought a property.
Yeah, like
I should have.
I know it's super expensive, but it's unthinkable to think that we could ride horses by the beach back in the day because a lot of our friends they have horses, they had farms, and it's like you could have a big yard full of dogs. You could have a sort of a rural life right in Baja. Right in Baja. And today
just right through the tunnel, you're in the city.
Yeah, but it's I haven't been there in years, but it has changed a lot. It's overcrowded and that is unfortunately an impoverization of the population in the big cities in Brazil, especially in Rio, which is unfortunately also criminalizing. I mean, crime is at its high. So I don't want to make a negative negative propaganda against my country, but the reality has to be faced, and we need new people in the game to change what's going on down there, because it's the beautiful country, full of resources.
Oh yeah, it's so beautiful, and the people for the most part are super cool.
People
people talk about how dangerous the favelas are, but I went and trained multiple times in Jacinho with Tata. He had a school up there, and I would get off the bus there, and like walk up to the front, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Show my gi, jiu-jitsu, Tata," and then they like escort me
to all the way
up there to train. I got my
Exactly.
$3,000 video camera out filming. They're all, "Hey, gringo," everything. I went to what's called Cantagalo. That's where
Tereré was in Cantagalo, for
went
sure.
up there with him. No problems. Went all the way to Manaus with Fredson and Oswaldo Al, Jacare, trained up there, like talk about those favelas make the favelas in Rio look
like
rich,
small. Yeah.
So, it's just lots of good people, but crime's crime. It's everywhere. LA is shady right now. LA is so sketchy.
Jesus Christ.
It's safer in Tijuana than it is in LA. I tell people that all the time.
I heard, but there's still great places, and it's relatively safe for any tourist to go to Brazil. Personally, I don't recommend Rio or São Paulo, but if you go down south,
Hey, go to Búzios,
Florianopolis, you can still have
Rio,
a lot of
I think
fun.
you just got to be smart. You don't
Correct.
go down there flashy.
Even Manaus, like I'm thinking about putting up been talking to Sensei Henrique Machado and putting up like a training camp for my students in the
That'd be
Amazon
cool.
jungle.
I've been there 3 times, fought in one tournament there, got my ass beat, as most tournaments I did in Rio or Brazil. But wow, it's amazing. It's different up there, It's really different.
Correct.
One thing that people don't understand about Brazil, like America's like a wide country, right? So you got Maine and Florida, right? Not a big difference, But Manaus down to Floripa,
It's a completely different world.
Completely different world. Completely different people. Look so different. Talk so different. It's
the ecosystem, the
dude,
trees,
the
the
climate,
animals, everything
the
is
food, everything is vastly different.
One of the cool, interesting things about Brazil, and of course, I love great food. Right? Originally, I come from a Brazilian Italian family, so we eat, and we eat a lot. So the one cool thing about Brazil is like each region has its own individual cuisine, as if you're in a different country with a different culture, and the richness of the cuisine in the Amazonas is incredible, man. Like it's absolutely
de peixe with
wow,
the piranha.
like all kinds of.
That's so good.
Yeah, and then you go down to south, like the meat is the best meat in the world.
Yeah.
And you go down to northeast, to like Ceará and Pernambuco. So it's like the Caribbean and the whole like seafood culture. So amazing. So yeah, like I remember Nino's father. He was a well-traveled man, originally from Sicily as well. And I was sharing this story with you the other night. Like when I was a kid, I asked him, Mr. Chambry, where are the best countries in the world to eat? Because he traveled the whole world. And he say, never forget that, Junino. He called me Junino, like little junior. Italy, Japan, Brazil, and Mexico. That's stuck in my head, and it's spot on, man.
We've had some good food here.
Yeah, amazing
I
food.
tell people all the time, like the hotel where you stay is right in the middle of the restaurant district. Like, just pick a restaurant; they're all awesome. Right there, you just walk across the street and you can eat at so many. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. How good the food is here. I really have to. I have to watch what I eat.
Correct.
For sure.
Yeah, but I think over here you can eat healthy and you can eat well.
Yeah, you know,
that's like
just have to not eat too much.
Correct.
Is the problem.
Yeah,
especially at the taco places. Oh, they're so good.
The taco places.
It's a lot of tacos to try.
Yeah, but Tijuana is the taco capital of the world, so
That's the problem.
yeah.
It's like the acai in Brazil. Yeah.
Correct. And like
You could eat too much of that too.
yeah, my acai. That's one thing I miss. But I do my own acai at home. I get it pretty well. Like if you never had acai before, you like my recommendation. You don't know where to get a good one. It's like directly from Brazil. Trader Joe's right now has a pretty decent acai.
Really?
Yeah, pretty decent. You
Yeah.
like. It's better than most of the brands out there, unless you're getting from somebody that it's importing directly from Brazil. But I do my own blend just with dates and some coconut water, and it can hold my crave, from the real deal. Back
How
home.
did the loft make that acai that was so creamy and it would stand like 8-9 inches tall? What's the difference? What'd they do there that was
The difference is this: is the density of your acai.
the density?
And the process of extracting acai, it's pretty similar to the process of like making olive oil, right? You have the first press, cold press, and that's the extra virgin. Then you have the second press, and that's the virgin oil. So then you have the third press, and they add water. And then you have the fourth press, and they have to heat the press and the water to extract the last bit of the oil that olive can get you. So with acai, it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. So what Loft was getting, they were getting the prime, the first press
Yeah.
of the acai. And when you get that, it's magical.
I heard that place is gone. Loft and
It's gone,
Desafrites was probably and Rialto. Those are my two favorite places in Brazil.
They close
After
Rialto.
train, go straight to the Loft. Acai, juice, one of those cheese sandwiches with the turkey, and then all you could eat sushi and food at Rialto.
Dude, like, remember, I like,
Plates full of salmon and sushi.
sometimes I would go to your house and I would say, Scotty, and you're not there.
Yeah.
I was a kid and I'd say, I know where to find him. He's at the Alto. And I would get there and he would be right there.
It was right around the corner. I could walk there.
Yeah.
But when we were there, like, I think dinner was like 20 reais, maybe 25 reais, which was like $6, $7. All you could eat fresh sushi, steak, chicken, everything made to order. Like, not like garbage quality. You go to Vegas buffet, like the best,
No.
Coconut water, everything was so good.
Rialto was amazing, man. I miss Rialto.
I used to eat there so much, like everybody knew me by name. I remember I'd take girls on dates there, and then I'd be like, "What are you in the mafia? Like, how do
Everybody
here? No, I'm not. I just eat here like every lunch, every day,
Yeah.
That place was so good.
But the funny thing with Brazil, I think that has to do also like with the processing of the food and with like the quality of the ingredients. Every time I go down there, I have no restrictions of how much I eat. I eat pretty clean, with the exception of like once a week maybe I'll have a sweet, not any sweet, but like I like the pavês and cold pies that we have in Brazil. We have like a nice pastry tradition there, like sort of like I like that sort of thing. So once a week I may have some of that, not every week of course, but when I go to Brazil, I'll have açaí every day. I'll have like a piece of cold pie every day, and I'll eat huge amounts of food, healthy food, but lots and lots of food. There isn't one time that I went down there that I ate like a pig, Scotty, that I didn't come back skinnier or leaner, I would say. I lose weight when I go down there. I did the same thing in Italy. I went for a wedding in Sicily. I was there with my mom, dad, Salvo, Professor Salvo. Salvo, my student, his daughter was getting married. So people are family to me. Like, it's been like my life for 20 years. And we went over there to celebrate the wedding of his daughter. So I say, man, I'm in Italy. I'm gonna eat like an animal.
Yeah.
I'm in Sicily, the best food in Italy. So I was working out because I was kind of conditioning for a tournament. So I was working out, but I ate like crazy, and no restriction as far as it goes with the sweets down there too. I got back home and say, man, I gotta be overweight, Scott. 10 days, I lost 9 pounds,
That's crazy.
and I was eating like an animal.
Yeah.
How can that be?
I think, so much, even if you do your best to eat really clean in America, there's so much garbage. It's hard to stay away from the garbage. But I remember when I first moved to Brazil, I went to the grocery store and I bought all these groceries, filled the refrigerator up. And then, I thought, okay, I got a week's worth of groceries. 3 days later, half the food's rotten. And I'm like, what? No preservatives, chicken breast there. It's like this big.
It's small, yeah.
You get a chicken breast here. It's like this big. It's like not even this. And just the texture of the steak.
Different.
It's just different. It's just completely different. It's even I would say here, like down in Mexico, when we go to Lorenza and we get steaks for everybody on Monday nights, the texture of that meat. And I go to some pretty good places in Vegas. It's not the same.
No,
it's just not the same. But yeah, you could. I mean, I was training a lot in Brazil too.
I remember, man.
You could eat whatever you wanted. Eat whatever you want. I never worried about it.
Oh my God! Like that place, people have no clue what we went through because we didn't know better. That was what was available. It was the best jiu-jitsu dojo probably in the country. And do you remember the metal ceiling?
Oh yeah.
So that metal ceiling
so hot
was so hot that,
so hot.
And we had like that canvas.
Yep, the canvas mats.
The canvas mats that was
with the
like
dirt under them.
Yeah, that was like kind of a skinning us alive.
Yeah.
Right, but when finally we got the puzzle mats, Master Carlos, I remember he went to I think Australia and he saw the puzzle mats over there, and he loaded the plane to bring puzzle mats to Brazil. He was the first person to get puzzle mats there. So when finally the puzzle mats got there, we thought like puzzle mats this thick, and we felt like we were in heaven. Do you remember that? Yeah. Like the green and yellow puzzle mats. Like, man, they're so soft. This is amazing, and we're training on that, and we are loving it. Well, it took 1 summer for the puzzle mats to be ruined because
cooked.
It melts.
Yeah.
Like the puzzle melts. The puzzle melts like with the sun, like blazing sun, scalding hot. It melted our puzzle mats.
And we were training in gis up there all summer long.
I don't know if you remember, but we used to fill like these bottles of empty big Cokes bottles with water and put in the freezer. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we used to bring like 3-4 of them, like every training
just
session.
To have something to drink.
Yes, and like by the end of the training session, like the water was gone, the ice was gone, everything was gone.
It was all sweat on the mats.
Yeah, and everybody was drinking everybody's water.
Yeah. I just remember like when we would train no-gi, it'd be like so much sweat on the mat.
Yeah.
Pubic hairs on your face.
Oh, boy.
It was, but then, and then, you train the morning class, you get hot until it got hot, and then you take your gi, you put it out and let the sun dry it to cardboard.
Remember that?
Go to the beach for the rest of the day, shower in the ocean, sun goes down, get some food, come back, put that stiff cardboard scratchy gi back on, train the night class,
It was one of them samurai gis, right? Your gi would be so stiff that...
Well, remember the gis were so much thicker back then. Everybody wanted the thick gis. Now everybody wears the super thin, lightweight gi, but back then you wanted your thick armor, your Krugen, and stuff. So
Krugens, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was... I remember Nino's gis.
I remember.
Kahu? What were they called again? They were named after that surf beach. God, how come I can't remember? Kahuka? You remember? Nino had his own.
Yeah, I remember.
Was it called like Kahuka? I don't care.
I remember the gi, but I don't remember the name of the brand.
Yeah. So That's how I made my living for a long time. I come to Brazil, buy a bunch of gis for cheap, and then get on the plane, go home, and sell them for a lot of money.
That's how a lot of us made our living. Like, I had an incident in London one time. This was a funny story. I'm one of the pioneers in Jiu-Jitsu, Grease Barra Jiu-Jitsu in Scandinavia. You know that. So started a couple schools in Sweden. Helped them to get the Grace Barra started over there in Finland. And they didn't have gis. They just had the judo gis or the traditional jiu-jitsu gis. They didn't have Brazilian jiu-jitsu gis. They wanted Brazilian jiu-jitsu gis. So every time I would go there, I would bring them some gis. So this time, they ordered like about 16 gis, something crazy like that. And I had a straight shot from Rio to London, but from London to Gothenburg, Sweden, they got me a Ryanair ticket, which is the equivalent to Spirit over here in America.
Yeah.
So I get all happy out of my plane. Everything is good. I go, connection in London, wait in the airport, boom. When I go to check in, I say, load your bags. Man, I was like 700 or 800 sterling pounds overweight. That I mean, they want 800 sterling.
Yeah, sterling. Yeah.
To let me in the plane, which back in the day was like $1,600. Man, I'm a college student going to Sweden to help some guys out. It's like I'm not swimming in money, of course. And the lady I say, look, I don't have this money on me. I can't pay for this. She say, no pay, no flight. Or you dispose your luggage somewhere over here and go. And I look at her and I say, I try to do the Brazilian way with her, like trying to, not to argument, but trying to get her to understand that there's a purpose on that. There's a mission to be accomplished. And she say, I can't do nothing about it. I don't care. Next in line, get out of my face. Dispose your bags or you don't fly. You choose. Next one, like this. I look at her, I say, I'm going to fly today. I'm going to fly with all my gis, and I'm not going to pay you a penny. Watch. She's like, and then I walked away. And I say, man, how am I going to do that? So I went to the restroom, Scotty.
Started putting gis on.
I put about like, from the kids' biggest size that would fit me, all the way to an A4. And I got probably 12 gis on. Like, I look like one of the inflatable dummies.
Yeah.
And I went back to the counter. I disposed the bag. I had like maybe 2 or 3 gis under my arm, and I had my jacket and like the clothes I was wearing. I tied a belt just one time around my waist, and I came to the counter. When I gave the lady my passport, man, she literally dropped her jaw like, and I say, my ticket. She couldn't say no to that. But that was the hardest walk to the plane of my entire life, from the terminal to the plane. By the time I got in the airplane, I was dripping sweat. Yeah. That was horrible, and I had to strip in the plane and ask them for a bag. But like always, when we were kids, everything worked out at the end, right? So my brothers and sisters in Sweden, they got their uniforms, and I got a story to tell.
I had one too, man. In America, we have these big green army duffel bags, you know, and I could get about 10 or 12 gis, depending on the size, in each duffel bag. But they were kind of like rectangular looking, you know, when you pack all the gis in there instead of round duffel bags. And so I have 4 duffel bags, go to Rio. I'm flying through JFK to LA. And I get off the airplane in JFK, and they like grab me. They're like, security grabs me. They're like, hey, Mr. Nelson. I'm like, yeah, you know. They're like, come with us. I'm like,
what did I do?
What I do, you know? And I'm like, okay. And they came over here, and then they had all my bags, you know. And I'm like, what's going on, you know? And they're like, what's in the bags? I'm like, jiu-jitsu uniforms, you know, and they're like, are you sure? Like, it went through security and it got flagged. I'm like, flagged for what? You know, I'm not, you can look through all my stuff. I ain't got nothing, man. Like, go ahead. And they just kept taking out gi after gi after gi, like looking at them and everything. But then they open them all up, you know. Finally, they like let me go. But now I got to figure out how to fold the gis back to fit them back in the bag to make my next plane and stuff. And it's, yeah, you know.
How lucky they let you go, man.
You know what I started doing? Then I went to New York and I went to the USA Wrestling event and I was cold. I bought a USA Wrestling hoodie. And then one time coming back into, because, you know, I was back and forth from Rio 3 years. I lived down there and always bringing stuff. And one of the times I was going through security back in the U.S. and he's like, you know, I had a shaved head back then, big old, you know, probably had a black eye. And he's like, are you on the U.S. wrestling team? And I'm like, yes. He's like, oh, right on. And he's like, they're looking through my stuff. It's all rash guards and bad boy shorts and everything, you know. And I'm like, I'm just bringing those back for the rest of my team. And they're like, oh, okay. Just if every time, even if it was summer, I went through the customs every other time. I wore that same USA Wrestling hoodie every single time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, brother.
It was, good times back then, you know.
Absolutely good. Healthy living, you know, like happy living.
Yeah.
Not only
Brazil's a happy place to live.
100%.
People don't take life too seriously. I mean, you know, I don't know if that's the right way to say, but people try to have fun. You know.
Yeah, like that is an element of socialization that many times life in America doesn't allow us to have.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get my students to sit on the mats with me after a class, after a hard training session, like, and just talk.
Yeah.
And chill and laugh. So hard because everybody has to go back home, get ready, dinner, let's go,
kids.
Work, next day, kids. Like class is over, everybody
gone.
Yeah. Like, very few guys stay behind to talk. Like I think one of the best parts of being a jiu-jitsu guy is the connections you make on the mats, right? Like the interactions, human interactions we have with each other, and I think it's part of our lifestyle, but it's something that probably we inherited from the Brazilian culture.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember Half's back. Well, you know, one thing too about jiu-jitsu who you are on the outside doesn't really matter so much. You got the cop training with the criminal. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
And then, you know, it doesn't matter. The rich guy with the poor guy, and none of that really matters. But, you know, that's a lot how House was back in the day, you know, especially Saturdays. You know, everybody show up early to train, and then we train, and then we hang out on the mats, and then slowly make it down the street to get some food or go to Jamba Juice, you know, and then relax. By then, it's like somebody's like, let me show you this technique, and then we're back at the academy, hanging out at the academy again, you know.
That's amazing.
And, you know, everybody traveling as a group to the tournaments and stuff like that.
Those are the best memories, man.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like when Carlos Gracie over 100 years ago, great grandmaster Carlos Gracie stated that his dream was that everybody in the world would know jiu-jitsu, and there would be a jiu-jitsu school in every city of the world, because that would make a better world. I have no shadows of doubt. It's the only place where black, white, Hispanics, they respect, and they learn to love each other, and the Muslims and Jews are, like you say, they're training together, and they're friends, and they respect each other. You know, so I think like if everyone would learn this amazing divine gift that you and I have, I believe the world would be a better place.
I agree with that. But I also miss the days of walking down the street and knowing if I probably didn't know you, I could kick your ass. By the time you get to be a blue belt at House, you had enough guys come off the street that wanted to fight, that you got their ass whooped. You're like, hey, you ain't stand a chance, man.
Dude, the blue belt,
you know,
the blue belt invincibility, right?
Invincibility.
When I earned my blue belt, I thought I was bulletproof.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But Rio was different. I remember when I first got down to Rio, I'd be like, I rode the bus everywhere. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I just got on the bus, somebody write down where I need to go. I just get on the bus. This bus? Yeah, okay, here we go. I sit by the bus driver. Felt safest, But I remember a couple of times I would look over and the bus driver would just have these gnarly cauliflower ears, or your waiters would have like gnarly, every nightclub you go to, the security guards would have all these cauliflowered ears, Yeah, man, I feel like jiu-jitsu's changed a lot since we were down in Brazil, but you're back, you're more on the scene than I am. I had to stop training jiu-jitsu for 10 years when I broke my back and I had back surgery, but you just fought Masters Worlds and a lot of tournaments. Like, it's crazy how much has changed.
No, it's like there is a tournament every weekend. You can fight every single weekend. Actually, there are more than one tournaments. IBJJF tournaments every weekend. Not to count the other federations, they're out there. There's so many right now. Like we had like a few shots in the year. You remember that?
Yeah.
We had the Estadual.
Yep.
We had the Brazilian Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
We had the World Championships and the Pan Ams. And those are the tournaments. You're trying to compete. Like if you miss one of them, now you're down to 3 tournaments.
And they're all pretty much in the winter.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was like
there's little tournaments. I remember used to do in Lagarto. Lagarto would always give me rides. We go do like the little like
wow.
Here and there. But
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But right now you can compete like every single weekend if you want.
Yeah.
And I was like, when was that? I think it was in Atlanta. They're like, I think there's something crazy like 16 fighting areas. When you think of the first Pan American Championships, there were like 2 fighting areas.
Yeah, 2 rings.
Like, this is crazy. 16 fighting areas, and there are 60 fighting areas on the Worlds of Masters this year. 60.
6-0.
6-0.
Wow.
I miss most of my friends.
I wouldn't even want to run that tournament.
No, it was something crazy. Like there are friends of mine there that I couldn't meet them because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
That I couldn't see people, I couldn't coach people. It was absolutely madness. 60 fighting areas.
Well, that's good because the old guys are going to need stem cells.
And they have their lives changed, and they'll tell a story. They'll have a story to tell for sure.
I mean, I was talking to like Zen Mario and some of those guys, Laborio, want to come down, like the real old school generations that, I just think even about my back, like people always talk about how expensive stem cells are, but I had the best Anthem Blue Shield insurance I could get. It still cost me $24,000 to get my back surgery and rehab.
Wow.
It's about what it costs to get stem cells in your back. It's like, and the stem cells worked. The back surgery didn't work at all. I got a little less pain for a couple of years, but then it was worse than it was before the surgery.
Yeah, but like a lot of people they're putting their money on the wrong places. Scott, they're buying stuff that will impress other people, or some of them, which I get it. Like they're just investing in things for their families, but they're having no quality of life. I think like the best investment you can do for yourself or for your family is to be happy. And to be happy, you need to be pain-free, right?
And be able to do what you love.
Like,
you were so happy to tell me you were. I was surprised to hear that you were competing again already. Out there.
Everybody was.
Let alone 12 tournaments.
Everybody was. And it's like part of me was I was just like my own experiment, so to put CPI to the test. And part of me was like also to extend my legacy to my children. I wanted them to, to have a vivid memory of what their dad is doing out there. It's not about winning at all. It's about inspiring my children, my students, and that's how good this worked. And I'm glad, like, it worked really well for me. But everything for me, it's like my life was affected drastically after the World Championships of Masters 2015, I had early on the final match, my ACL blew out. I think it had to do also with the weight cut. Man, I keep telling people, be careful with weight cut, because people don't realize not only your muscles lose water, but it's like your ligaments, your tendons also lose lots of
Your
water.
hearts,
Yeah,
your
like your
lungs.
heart. So your blood is thicker. Everything in your body is dehydrated. So that stiffen up 100% your ligaments and your tendons. So I believe part of that, I attribute part of my ACL blowing out to the weight cut I did for the tournament. But now I'm in the final. I managed to push through and to win the tournament, but I went back home with minus an ACL. And I tried a procedure, an ACL reconstruction, and I had a rejection. So then
They took like a cadaver one.
no. They reconstructed my own ACL, but it didn't work. And then I had a minor infection. I got washed, went back, did an arthroscopy to wash, to clean, got on antibiotics. 10 months later,
10 months. Wow.
10 months later, after the first adverse reaction I had, he came back with a major infection, Scotty.
Oh, wow.
And by the time I got to the doctor, I'm just like, I'm training. I just feel like one day my knee got really stiff, and the next day worse, and the next day worse, and I'm having fever. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I think like maybe I'm overtrained. And I got to the doctor. He said, he just looked at me. He didn't touch me. He didn't measure my temperature. He looked at me and he said, I remember his words, your life is in danger. I gotta check you in on the ER right now. I was like, my life is in danger. It's like, and they took me in, and I had a major infection going on in my leg, wow. Major. So they removed, I had an emergency surgery. They removed the whole graft. They removed everything from my knee. And the outcome of that was that I was in the hospital for a week. I went through 2 surgeries, and I had a PICC line going to my heart, 2017, for 3 months, brother.
Wow.
3 months. And I had a lot of adverse reactions.
Doing IV antibiotics?
IV antibiotics. I had a nurse coming to my home to administrate on me like every day after I checked out from the hospital. And I had a lot of adverse reactions that I got to a point that I thought I would die. You know, that's how serious the infection was.
Wow.
Staph. Devastating.
Yeah.
So 9 months later, I'm healed. I'm fully healed. So then I go back to get a new ACL back. And I did a patella tendon ACL, which worked great. My doctor is down here in San Diego. He's really good. Dr. Tal David, top doctor. He works with the NFL there and many other athletes. Top guy, really stand-up guy. It's like the failure of the first surgery has nothing to do with him. This man is nothing but an amazing doctor. And back in the day, he was attempting stem cells, by the way. He was treating with stem cells. It was he was way ahead of most of the doctors, like in 2015, 16. But now I'm on my 5th surgery on this knee.
5th. Wow.
Right? To reconstruct the ACL. And finally, I got back to sports. I got back to training. But the arthritis that I accumulated because of the infection, because what the first thing the infection gonna eat in your body, like the bacteria, is your cartilage, right? So I had no cartilage, and that's eventually I would train one day hard. If I would train the next day hard, on top of that, I would teach classes, my knee would just blow up. And it would get stiff, and I started like having to ice my knee and keep my leg elevated every week, Scotty, because I have the energy to train hard. I have the skill to train hard, but my body was not keeping up with that, plus standing for several hours teaching classes. My life quality was like down. And that's added another minor injury on my shoulder and another on my elbow. And next thing you know, 6 years pass and I'm not competing. I'm training, but not competing. So what happened to me from coming over here, it's absolutely miraculous.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
It's a true
I'm
story.
super happy for you, man. I didn't realize that you had that many surgeries.
Correct.
And it was that bad. That's
It was
pretty
that
serious.
bad.
Yeah.
I developed a Baker cyst because of it.
Mm.
You know what a Baker cyst is,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like a puff,
Yep, they got to drain it.
little kind of ball that grows right behind your knee.
Yep.
And it's a common thing for people with arthritis or people who went through an ACL surgery. Eventually, they get Baker cysts. And man, I haven't had one since. I had a little bit, but it went away like with a night of sleep.
That's great.
And like the funny thing is, like, the prognostic you gave me and the doctors at CPI gave me was way more pessimistic from the results I got it.
Yeah. Well, it's better to under promise and over deliver. I mean, that's
Correct.
one thing. I don't bring anybody down here. The doctors know if we don't think that we could help them. If there's not a chance, if we don't think we could help them. And, somebody with a super serious injury, and I know there's a lot of places that'll just say, oh, guaranteed once, but that's why we have people have a chance to come back 2 times. We want that data, but also we really want to make sure people get better.
You're
And
the only ones doing that, right?
A little boost. I only needed one for my knee. I only needed one for my back, probably one for my shoulder. It feels good already, but some people are different. No one's the same.
I think you guys have an incredible niche to be explored, because the more people understand the benefits of jiu-jitsu, the longer they want to extend their life on the mats, so they can eventually be also not shaping their students' lives, but their children and grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And the CPI has expanded that possibility today. I'm envisioning myself training with my children, which I already do, and one day my grandchildren.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like I can come over here once a year and renew the body.
Maybe you don't even need it once a year.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
So
maybe not even once a year.
I mean, I'd be happy if you visit me as many times as you want, but
no,
if you don't need it, you don't need it.
But it reconnected us to you, Scotty. It's one of the things that I'm really happy about.
Yeah.
It allowed you and I to see each other again, man. Because otherwise, life.
It's it's funny because I've had guys down here that I sponsored through jiu-jitsu and helped them beat their bodies up, and now years later, they're coming down to fix their bodies. So everything comes full circle. You know?
Yeah.
And I've gotten to meet so many incredible people. We have so many cool patients from all different walks. We got a guy down there now. I think he's 66 or 68 years old. That was an old school Hollywood stuntman that did stunts and rode motorcycles with Evel Knievel.
Wow.
Like, how cool is that?
That's incredible.
I mean? So
the stories, right? There was one thing that I didn't expect about this adventure in Tijuana. Was like, I made such incredible connections with on my first tour when I came and we socialized and we took everybody to eat out and we dined together. To this day, I'm in contact with a lot of the people from the group who originally came, and I follow up with their results as well. It seems like everybody's doing pretty well, but we're hanging out and we're planning to see each other and it's like I think it's a like-minded sort of individual that it's coming over here, all super great, generous, people.
It's a lot of good people.
A lot of good people.
I got to give thanks to Joe Rogan because so many people hear about us from Joe Rogan. So it's always a lot of people that have that kind of mindset, that type, jiu-jitsu guys, open-minded, curious people.
I think each one of us in our own area, it's serving mankind and humanity. It's like after all, like, this is what we really want to leave behind in this world, right? Like, how many people you can impact in a positive way. And I think Joe Rogan, right?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan is one of them guys, you know, he's
changing the world.
Extremely intelligent, eloquent, and he is a guy that thinks outside the box and it's not afraid to speak up.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that they're dormant out there, living like in ignorance, and the bigger his podcast grew and his channel, the more people he impacted in a positive way, that they're like seeing the word for what the word really is. And in so many different ways, including regenerative medicine.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
I mean, Joe's, since the early days, he was one of the first people. Dr. Reardon was on his show, Mel Gibson. And, regenerative medicine, jiu-jitsu, MMA, you know, comedians. There's so many, all different health stuff that Joe's given all of us such a big platform to put out a lot of really good stuff.
You know, like, not trying to be weird, but I think like God has given the word major and minor prophets. You know, maybe Joe is one of them. Because he's like he's definitely
going down in history. Oh, he's helped so many people. He's so kind. You know?
Correct.
So he's awesome.
But I don't want that to be taken out of context and people, you know, see that in a weird way. But if you think of Carlos and Helio Gracie, what the impact these two men did for the world. If you think of Bruce Lee, right? If you think of people that lived like in the modern times and they're like impacted humanity in such an incredible way. You know, I think Joe is one of them in what he did, and you guys are, in your way, you're doing the same. You're like doing something.
I mean, and what Joe's doing, he's doing it 3-4 times a week with his podcast and with his actions and what he does. You know, you just really got to respect him. And what I like best about him is if he's wrong or he misunderstands, he's just perfectly honest and, oh, I got it wrong, or this is what I learned new. You know, he's open.
Yeah,
he's
and
really
I think
curious.
Like, that's what people like about him, and that's what people can relate to it.
Sure.
You know, it's the humanity, like you being a human being, and human being like commit mistakes.
That's right.
You know.
Not me. I never make mistakes.
We all do, but it's like what we learn from our mistakes, our ability to evolve. Somebody sent me something today. Pain is just like nothing but a trampoline for growth, and I think like it's an opportunity for us to revisit.
Yeah.
You know, and like we all commit mistakes, but it's how we revisit them and try to do right. The wrong is what makes all the difference in the world.
I agree, man. Thanks for visiting us down here again. I'm so happy that your whole body's doing great and you're out beating people up and making new clients for me along the way. And go ahead, plug your school. I know you got a camp coming up in Florianopolis in Brazil. Tell us a little bit if people want to check in with you online or something.
Sure. It's like, thank you, Scotty. Thank you for your service, you know, to the martial arts community for, 20 plus years. You've been helping so many people, you know, first as with all you did with On the Mat and beyond. You know, a lot of the records, they're passed from Paquetá to you, live to this day.
Yeah.
And this is like, without that, a lot of the jiu-jitsu history would be long gone forever. And you kept that going, brother. So I
did my best.
I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
And now what you're doing also in a different way, but still like you're helping the jiu-jitsu community, the martial arts community and beyond. Thank you for the opportunity, for bringing me here, man. and to help me to heal my body and keep spreading the word. It's just lots and lots to be grateful. And check me out, carloslemosjr.com. If you're ever in Chicago, come and train with us. Gracie Barra, Chicago West Loop in downtown, Gracie Barra, Downers Grove, and Gracie Barra East Naperville. I have a great crew of people there. And you owe me a visit, by the way. You've never been there, but
not in the winter.
No, please, I don't want you to hate me. But if you come in the summertime, Chicago.
I grew up in Lake Forest, so I know how cold it is.
Chicago is a great place.
Ninguém merece.
In the winter, no, but outside that. And please check my social media, Carlos Lemos Jr. GB. Camp in Florianopolis. For the past 8 years, we're going to our 9th edition. We've been going to the Riviera Maya with Gibran. Professor Gibran is our main guy over there in the Riviera Maya. We've been going there just as a way to... How did the camp started for us? It was like this. I know we're running out of time, but I had students of mine that never left the Midwest in their lives, and they're in their 40s. I had students of mine that every time they would go out, they would go on a holiday, they would come back trashed, sleeping very poorly, eating terribly, drinking a lot. So their training was being affected. They're learning martial skills, Scotty, but they're not learning the lifestyle that you and I learn. So I say, you know what? It would be hard for me to take all of these people to Brazil. Mexico, 3 hours away, like on a holiday weekend, like an extended weekend, that I think could fly. So I started bringing a group of students to teach them how to have a healthy holiday, how to have fun on a holiday. Training, beach, music, healthy food, life, right? That's how the GB Experience Winter Camp started. So we felt it's a need for a change. Last time I was in Floripa, Master Carlos said, escorrega, I want you to bring the camp over here. I want to be part of this. And he created a whole infrastructure for that. I don't know if you've been to his school, his new school there. There is a lodge next to it. It's a beautiful school. And Floripa has a lot to offer, and it's super safe. So like always, I'm following his guidance and what he planned for us. So I say, okay, Master Carlos, we'll make it happen in Floripa. And it's becoming a reality, and we're gonna launch the camp in October, and it's gonna be on President's Day weekend next year. Of course, you're welcome to join us if you have time, brother.
Yeah.
And it would be a really good experience with the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, Brazil, and to be right there at Master Carlos's home. For me, it's a great honor. And we're doing the camp with several great professors. Salvo's coming from Great Britain, Rodrigo Mendanha coming from Canada, Marcão coming from the Carolinas, and Draculinos coming from Texas, and Romulo Barral is coming from LA. So it will be a good group of guys.
That's awesome.
Great training.
Yeah.
It's like having a great time and eating great food. So yeah, it's something that I also feel like it's a good service to the community, to my students, to my friends, because I want to teach them not only how to fight or how to defend themselves, but how to live a happy life.
Yeah. It's hard to not be happy in Florianopolis. It's a beautiful place. So, all right, buddy, thank you. We'll get you back over there to finish the last of your MRIs.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.